Long before mammals, birds, and dinosaurs ever left footprints in the mud, Earth was ruled by creatures that barely resemble anything alive today. Some had no eyes, others had 5. Some had mouths that rotated, others had armor instead of skin. These weren't just early life forms, they were evolutionary experiments, scattered across millions of years, shaping the biology that would eventually lead to everything modern. Fossils of these creatures don't tell a simple story. They raise questions no one's fully answered. What they ate, how they moved, why they vanished. Most of it is guesswork. What's certain is this: they were strange, they were dangerous, and they came first. Here are 15 mysterious beasts that predated modern life. Number 15. Opabinia. Opabinia doesn't look like anything that should have existed. 5 eyes sitting across its head, a backward-facing mouth, and a single clawed appendage stretching from its face like a misplaced trunk. It measured about 2 to 3 inches long and glided over the Cambrian seafloor some 505 million years ago. Its flattened body and wide fins gave it a smooth, almost elegant swimming style, despite its awkward frame. Those 5 eyes weren't decorative, they likely provided a full range of vision in murky prehistoric waters. And that front appendage, it acted like a grabber, snatching soft-bodied prey and passing it into the creature's bizarre tubular mouth. For decades, scientists didn't even know which way it faced. Some reconstructions had its mouth and tail flipped. That confusion alone says plenty about how alien it was. Opabinia was likely a dead end on the evolutionary tree, but it still marks a key moment in life's early experimentation. No descendants, no legacy, just a brief chapter of strangeness preserved in shale. Number 14. Hallucigenia. Hallucigenia is exactly what its name suggests, a creature so baffling it was originally drawn upside down. Fossils of this worm-like animal from the Cambrian period showed spiny projections and soft appendages, but scientists couldn't tell which were legs and which were back spikes. For a while, people genuinely believed it walked on its spikes. It turns out the stubby, noodle-like limbs were legs, and those terrifying spines were a defense mechanism. At just a few centimeters long, Hallucigenia wasn't a hunter. It was more likely prey crawling along the sea floor in search of microorganisms to vacuum up. Its body was long and narrow, ending in a blob-like head with 2 simple eyes and a toothy ring around its mouth. If it had a brain, it probably wasn't much more than a nerve cluster. There are no known descendants. Nothing alive today looks remotely like it. Hallucigenia came and went without rewriting biology. It was just strange. But sometimes, strangeness is enough to be remembered. Number 13. Weewaxia. Weewaxia looked like a mistake. Nature didn't bother to erase. Roughly the size of a thumb, it crawled across Cambrian seafloors around 508 million years ago, dragging a body covered in armored scales and backward-facing spines. It didn't swim, it didn't chase. It simply crept along, scraping algae and detritus with its radula-like mouth. That feeding structure, a kind of conveyor belt of teeth, hints at a possible link to mollusks, but Weewaxia's classification is still debated. Its top half was lined with overlapping scales called sclerites, like a chainmail vest designed by a sea slug. Along its back, curved spikes jutted outward, probably making it a miserable target for any early predator looking for an easy snack. Its body was soft beneath the armor but well defended. Weewaxia didn't have a defined head or limbs, just rows of spikes and a simple eating machine in the front. It's the kind of creature that doesn't fit into modern categories. It existed, it survived, and then it vanished without a trace in anything that came after. Number 12. Anomalocaris. Anomalocaris wasn't just big for its time. It was king. Reaching lengths of up to 3 feet, it ruled the Cambrian seas more than 500 million years ago. With a pair of barbed, jointed appendages extending from its head and a round, rotating mouth that looked like a blender made of teeth, Anomalocaris hunted with precision. Its large eyes, built from thousands of tiny lenses, gave it exceptional vision, an evolutionary advantage few other animals had at that time. Its segmented body rippled through the water like a modern cuttlefish, giving it speed and control. It didn't chew. It grabbed. It tore. Its prey were soft-bodied animals like trilobites, which it crushed between its hardened oral plates. There's debate on whether it could actually crack trilobite shells, but whatever it didn't eat, it likely left mangled. Anomalocaris wasn't built to last through extinction events, but for a brief period it was untouchable. It wasn't just an early predator, it was a blueprint for how power evolved in the ocean. What's your take on that? Number 11. Tiktaalik. Tiktaalik was the first creature to give the finger to water and mean it. Living around 375 million years ago during the late Devonian period, it marks one of the clearest transitions between fish and four-legged land animals. It looked like a cross between a lizard and a flattened fish, with a broad crocodile-like head and fins that contained primitive wrist bones. These weren't ordinary fins, they had joints, allowing Tiktaalik to press itself upward and shuffle through shallow waters or even onto land. Its skull had both gills and lungs, and unlike most fish, its neck could move independently from its body. That might sound minor, but it was a massive step in vertebrate evolution. It meant Tiktaalik could raise its head and look around, a necessary skill outside the water. It didn't walk, not yet, but it could support its own weight long enough to explore the shoreline, setting the stage for amphibians, reptiles, and eventually every land vertebrate alive today, including us. Number 10. Jacalopterus. Jacalopterus was a sea scorpion, the size of a grown man, stretching nearly 9 feet long from claw to tail. It lived around 390 million years ago and wasn't swimming quietly at the bottom of some distant sea. It was dominating rivers and coastal waters across Europe. Unlike modern arthropods that scuttle, Jacalopterus likely moved with speed and precision, using its paddle-like limbs to glide and its massive claws to grab. Those claws, almost 2 feet long each, were serrated and curved, designed to grip, pierce, and tear. It's believed to have been both predator and rival, capable of taking on smaller fish and other arthropods, while defending itself from others of its kind. Its eyes sat high on its head, giving it a wide field of view, while its exoskeleton offered protection and agility in equal measure. No part of Jacalopterus looks built for mercy. If you were swimming in its territory, you didn't see it coming. You just vanished beneath a ripple. Number 9. Tulamonstrum. Tulamonstrum defies logic. Found in the Mazon Creek fossil beds of Illinois, it lived roughly 300 million years ago, and even today, no one agrees on what it actually was. Its body resembled a flattened slug, with a long, tubular snout ending in a jawed claw, and eyes mounted on rigid stalks that extended sideways like a car's side mirrors. Nothing about it looks finished, yet somehow, it thrives. It wasn't large, just over a foot long, but its design is so offbeat it's hard to categorize. Some suggest it was related to vertebrates, possibly an early relative of lampreys. Others argue it was more like a soft-bodied invertebrate. It didn't have scales or armor. Instead, it moved through the water with a finned tail and likely used its claw mouth to grab soft-bodied prey or scavenge the sea floor. Whatever it was, Tulamonstrum left no evolutionary trail behind. It showed up, broke the rules of anatomy, and disappeared, leaving behind fossils that still spark arguments more than a century after discovery. Number 8. Meganeura. Meganeura wasn't just a big bug, it was a dragonfly the size of a hawk. With wingspans reaching nearly 3 feet, it dominated the skies during the Carboniferous period roughly 300 million years ago. This wasn't some passive pollen drifter. Meganeura was a predator, patrolling dense forests and wetlands, snatching up smaller insects and even small amphibians with spiked legs and razor-edged jaws. Its size was made possible by the atmosphere at the time, which had a much higher oxygen concentration than today. That extra oxygen allowed for oversized respiratory systems and boosted muscle efficiency in arthropods. But size wasn't its only edge. It had large, complex eyes for scanning above and below, with flight muscles that could keep it airborne for long periods. In modern ecosystems, a dragonfly is a minor threat. Meganeura was an aerial dominant in insect form. It didn't hover, it hunted. It vanished as oxygen levels dropped, but for a stretch of deep time, this insect ruled the sky the way raptors would much later. Number 7. Edaphosaurus. Edaphosaurus is often mistaken for a predator thanks to the tall sail that extended from its back, but this cutie didn't chase. It chewed. Living around 300 million years ago, Edaphosaurus was one of the earliest known herbivorous land vertebrates. It had a barrel-shaped body, short limbs, a blunt head with peg-like teeth, and a sprawling gait suited for slow, deliberate movement across swampy terrain. Its most striking feature was the sail, long spines extending from its vertebrae, webbed with skin. The exact function is still debated, but it likely helped with thermoregulation or species display. While similar in shape to the sail on Dimetrodon, the two animals weren't closely related. Edaphosaurus ate plants, not meat, and lived a far less aggressive lifestyle. It wasn't fast, but it didn't need to be. It processed tough vegetation and lived in environments where mobility wasn't as important as endurance. Its sail made it unforgettable, but its quiet dominance as an early plant eater made its evolutionary history worth remembering. Number 6. Arandaspis. Arandaspis didn't have jaws. It didn't have fins. It didn't even have a real face. But this small armored fish from over 480 million years ago is one of the earliest known vertebrates, an awkward beginning to a lineage that would eventually walk on land. It was about 7 inches long, covered in bony plates, and glided through the Ordovician seas using simple undulating movements. Its mouth was a fixed slit, designed for filter feeding rather than biting. There were no teeth, no predatory instincts, just slow movement and sifting plankton or organic debris from the water. Its body was stiff, shaped like a living torpedo, and protected by thick scales from head to tail. It didn't dominate the food chain. It existed beneath it, but it paved the way for every vertebrate that followed: fish, amphibians, reptiles, mammals, and humans. Arandaspis wasn't built to impress, but it proved one thing: a backbone, no matter how primitive, was a winning strategy. From that small armored swimmer came everything with a spine. Number 5. Pamdelurian. Pamdelurian moved like a nightmare centipede built for water. It lived over 520 million years ago and looked nothing like a fish or worm, more like a pancake with legs. Its flat, segmented body stretched across the seafloor, supported by pairs of lobed fin-like appendages that helped it crawl, paddle, and possibly hover above the sediment. It had a large head with a protective shield and 2 short antennae, which it likely used for sensing motion or food. It wasn't a predator built for speed or power. Instead, Pamdelurian probably filtered small particles or hunted slow, soft-bodied organisms, sweeping them toward its mouth with a fan of frontal limbs. Each limb moved independently, giving it incredible flexibility for its size. This animal doesn't fit neatly into any modern category. It wasn't a true arthropod, nor a full-blown worm. It was part of a broader explosion of body plans that defined the Cambrian period, life experimenting with form before settling on anything familiar. It came and went like a ghost but left its mark on the fossil blueprint. Number 4. Platycar-aspis. Platycar-aspis wasn't fast. It wasn't flashy. It was built like a tank and moved like one too. Dating back nearly 390 million years, this prehistoric fish belonged to the placoderms, an early group of armored-jawed fish that relied on brute survival instead of agility. Its body was wrapped in thick, interlocking bony plates, especially around the head and shoulders, forming a natural shield against predators. Its jaw didn't open wide, it clamped down hard. Platycar-aspis had flat, crushing dental plates instead of teeth, ideal for breaking shells and grinding armored invertebrates on the seafloor. It likely ambushed slow-moving prey or fed by rooting around sediment. What made it distinctive was its heavy, squat profile. This wasn't a fish that chased, this was one that endured. It wasn't designed for long swims or open ocean combat. It thrived in shallow, murky waters where its armor gave it the upper hand. Nothing elegant, nothing graceful, just brute survival. It's a forgotten juggernaut from the armored age of fish. Number 3. Diplocaulus. Diplocaulus looked like evolution took a wrong turn and stuck with it. It lived during the late Carboniferous and early Permian periods, and the first thing anyone notices is its bizarre boomerang-shaped head. Wide, flat extensions flared out from either side, giving it a triangular skull that served no obvious offensive purpose. But that shape wasn't ornamental. It probably made Diplocaulus almost impossible to swallow. At about 3 feet long, this early amphibian wasn't built to fight. It was built to survive. Its streamlined body and paddle-like tail suggest it was a capable swimmer, gliding through rivers and swamps in search of insects or small aquatic prey. The skull's odd shape may have also functioned like a hydrofoil, helping stabilize it in moving water. Despite its alien look, Diplocaulus was a resilient survivor in a volatile world of shifting climates and predators. It didn't leave descendants. Its story ends with extinction, but for a stretch of time, that boomerang-headed silhouette ruled the shallows with quiet confidence. Number 2. Eurypterus. Eurypterus was no footnote, it was a staple of prehistoric waters. Known as a sea scorpion, this creature lived about 400 million years ago and grew up to 4 feet long, dominating marine ecosystems long before vertebrates took charge. It had a flat, segmented body with spiny limbs and a paddle-shaped tail that doubled as a swimming aid and steering fin. Its claws weren't just for grabbing, they were for holding prey in place as it tore them apart. Unlike the later, monstrous Jacalopterus, Eurypterus didn't need overwhelming size to control its environment. It was fast, armored, and adaptable. Its eyes sat high on its head for panoramic vision, and it likely scouted the muddy seabeds for trilobites, fish, or whatever else crossed its path. This was a predator from the old school, no frills, no evolutionary gamble, just basic tools honed to perfection. Eurypterus didn't rely on extremes. It relied on efficiency, and for millions of years that was more than enough. Number 1. Dunkleosteus. Dunkleosteus didn't swim. It charged. This 30-foot, 4-ton juggernaut ruled the Devonian seas over 360 million years ago and left no room for competition. It didn't have teeth. Instead, its jaws were armored plates sharpened by time, capable of biting through bone and shell with one of the strongest bite forces in vertebrate history. No creature in its path stood much chance. It had a head built like a battering ram, layered with thick bone that fused into its skull. Behind that came a body designed for ambush, streamlined but solid. Dunkleosteus could open its jaws in milliseconds, creating a vacuum to pull prey in before those crushing plates snapped shut. It wasn't graceful, and it didn't need subtlety. Its size and power were its strategy. It's one of the first true apex predators in vertebrate history, and it earned that title with brute dominance. Long gone but never forgotten, Dunkleosteus is still the reason we don't call sharks the toughest things to ever swim. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.